judge if this person is a mujtahid or not. Just by one hadith, they can tell if you are an expert or if you are not an expert. Can you imagine? Just by one hadith, because they will look how strong you are in deriving that ruling. Excuse me. And you know, when you go to the biggest of the doctors, these days I have found that they do not diagnose you, your illness very quickly. A good expert would say, this is what's wrong with you. Diagnosis of an illness, and then what is the solution? What is the cure for that illness? That is a medical science. Okay? A mujtahid's job is to diagnose the problem and then give the fatwa, this is a solution. To be able to derive those rulings. This is called an expert. And to follow the mujtahid in all of those rulings is called taqleed. We refer in all those things without even thinking. But because people put doubts in your mind, you always have questions about following an expert. I'm sorry, the Thank you. Can you all pay attention to this point, please? If any one of us was asked about a person, if he's a doctor or not, or if he's a good doctor or not, or how good a doctor is he compared to another doctor, we'll also go, I'm not qualified to answer, But if we were all asked about a mujtahid, an expert, we would all very easily give a statement. As if we were experts and we understood how learned they were. As if we understand the Quran and Hadith from their dimension as well as they do. So and so Maulana is not that learned. But he is very learned. So I was asking and one of the speakers, I said, how do you know so and so speaker is very learned? He said, he speaks well. I said, that's oratory. He is not even qualified, that person. He hasn't even seen the face of the religious institutes. But because a person speaks well, they would be able to give a judgment that he is an expert on Quran and Hadith. This is so illogical and against wisdom that we would easily pass a judgment and say that so and so person is very qualified. Taqleed itself means that we submit to the will of a mujtahid that who understands the Quran and Hadith as the Imams have tried to make us understand Quran and Hadith. Not as we understand them. We may look at a verse and we think that this is my understanding. You cannot give your personal understanding. Let's look at it. Many people took things literally. I'll give you two examples very quickly and go into one other hadith. In the time of the Holy Prophet, the verse in the Holy Quran came down in Surah Baqarah. كُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَكُمْ خَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضُ مِنَ الْخَيْطِ الْأَسْوَدِ. Keep eating and drinking, before you start your fast. You can eat during the night, but you can't during the day. From dawn till dusk, you have to abstain. Fasting is basically to abstain, yes? You cannot eat, drink, and do so many things while you are fasting. So you have to abstain. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, keep eating and drinking until حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَكُمُ الْخَيْطُ الْأَسْوَدُ مِنَ الْخَيْطِ الْأَبْيَضِ. So long as the white thread does not appear from the black thread. So many of the Sahaba, many of the companions of the Holy Prophet, they took two threads, a black thread and a white thread, and they put them together on top of each other, and they kept eating and drinking. They took it literally. That is two threads. So the Holy Prophet said, what are you doing? It is dawn now, you're supposed to stop eating. They said, Ya Rasulullah, but you said, so long as the black thread is not seen, and there was no light in those days. He said, that's not what's meant. He said, what does it mean then? He said, the black line from the white line, as soon as on the horizon of the earth, the first white line that appears, that is a sign that the dawn has started before the sunrise. An hour and a half, approximately an hour and 40 minutes before the sunrise, there is a white line on the surface of the earth. He said, so long as the white line doesn't appear on the black surface, that's what's meant. They all knew Arabic and they all took it so literally. Can you imagine? And there are many other verses. I wanted to go into two other verses, but and there are still disputes between different schools of thought, because many of the people have taken things literally. They have not referred to the Holy Prophet and his holy progeny for the explanation. When the people came to the Imam alayhi salam, especially Imam alayhi salam, he gave explanations and he said, that's not what's meant. You have to look deep into those verses. Kitab al-Tawheed I've translated into English. I can't remember what chapter. And there are 67 chapters in it. And one of the chapters, a person comes to Imam alayhi salam, he says, Maula, there is contradiction in the Holy Quran. He said, how? He said, I'll read you some verses. So he started reading. He said, no, that's what's meant by these verses. It's a 40 pages long chapter. That person brings something like 20, 30 different verses to show contradiction. And until and unless you look at the answer of the Imam alayhi salam, that's when you feel that, oh, that's how you're supposed to put the two verses together. The explanation of the Holy Prophet and the Imam is very important. The second hadith is by the 12th Imam, Imam Zaman alayhi salatu wasalam. The Imam alayhi salam says, and this is in Al-Ihtajaj al-Tabarsi again, and also in Bihar al-Anwar of Allama Muhammad Baqir Majlisi, and also in Masail al-Shia of Shaykh Khurri Amili. There are many other references, I'm sure, but I only recall these three at the moment. This is called Tawqi Mubarak. Tawqi is anything which is in the handwriting of the 12th Imam or with the stamp or the signature of the 12th Imam. Tawqi is basically signature in Arabic, or the stamp. So anything which is in the handwriting of the 12th Imam is called the Tawqi Mubarak, or the holy handwriting, meaning the 12th Imam's handwriting. How did we get these things in the writing of the 12th Imam? During what age? What period do you think?
Minor occultation.
Minor occultation. Okay, during Ghaibat al-Sughra, the minor occultation, the four people were appointed. People would say, this is my question, take it to the Imam. They would take it to the Imam. Imam would write the answer on it. Or he would say, okay, you write the answer, and he would just sign it and say, take it to the people and tell them this is my answer. The final, Muhammad ibn Ali ibn Muhammad al-Samari, from Samarra, or Samri, if it is Samra. If it is not, it's not Samra, it is Samarra. Basically, it was taken from Surra Marra'a. It pleased anyone who saw it. It was a beautiful place, that's why it was called Surra Marra'a. And from Surra Marra'a, it became Samarra. And many people just call Samra. Anyway. So he was from Samarra, and that's why it's called Samari. He was the final deputy of the 12th Imam alayhi salam. And the Imam alayhi salam said to him that tell the people, and he gave it in writing, this is what, وَأَمَّا فِي الْحَوَادِثِ الْوَاقِعَةِ فَارْجِعُوا فِيهَا إِلَىٰ رُوَاةِ أَحَادِيثِنَا فَإِنَّهُمْ حُجَّتِي عَلَيْكُمْ وَأَنَا حُجَّةُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِمْ. As for the times to come, they will be very difficult times. Refer to, and that's why we say marja taqleed. Marja is called someone who you refer to, the one who is referred to in taqleed. Imam says in this hadith, farji'u. We use the word taqleed because of the 11th Imam's hadith. He's used the word taqleed there. فَلِلْعَوَامِ أَن يُقَلِّدُوهُ. He's used the word taqleed. And here we call them marja taqleed because of this hadith. Farji'u, do ruju to, refer to. Farji'u fiha, in these difficult times, ruwati hadithina, ila ruwati hadithina, to the experts in our traditions, the ones who are experts in our hadith, fuqaha, the mujtahideen, the experts. فَإِنَّهُمْ حُجَّتِي عَلَيْكُمْ, as because they are my hujjat, my proof over you. The Imam al-Islam says. وَأَنَا حُجَّةُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِمْ, and I am the proof of Allah over them. Imam is Hujjatullah, and they are the Hujjat of the Imam al-Islam. And that's why we call them Hujjat al-Islam. These days, actually, everyone's become Hujjat al-Islam, unfortunately. Everyone, Maulana, they would just say Hujjat al-Islam al-Muslimin. But anyway, it's a big title. So, their Imam says that they are my proof over you, and I am the proof of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon them. Imam is the proof of Allah, and they are proofs of the Imam. Ar-raddu alayhim kar-raddi alayna. The one who rejects them has rejected us, not me. The Imam al-Islam says they have rejected us. Ar-raddu alayhim kar-raddi alayna. Wal-raddi alayna kar-raddi alallah. The one who rejects us, the Ahlul Bayt al-Islam, has rejected Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.